So firstly, thank you everyone for being here. We would like to thank all those that supported the event, including Southampton City Council, NHS organisations, MedCap Southampton, Autism Hampshire, Southampton Parent Carer Forum, the employees. The employment.
Come forward.
So we would like to thank all the guest speakers and all the organisations that came up with their stalls to support the event, that have given up their time to be here today. And thanks to all the volunteers that support the event and our lovely audience that are here to listen and learn. When we were planning this last health day that we had a suggestion from one of our young volunteers to hold a Neurodiversity and Learning Disability Day to raise awareness of these topics which are not understood within our community. Therefore, I would like to introduce the volunteer who inspired today's event, Shania Pendarana.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Shania and I'm 12 years old. I feel very happy and proud to be standing here today to welcome you all to this special event on neurodiversity and learning disabilities. Today we are here to celebrate something very important, the beautiful ways in which our brains work differently. Some of us learn fast, some take time, some of us love music, some love maths, and some express themselves best through art or movement, and that's what makes each of us unique and special. In our Indian culture, we are taught to see diversity as a source of strength, like the many colours in a rangoli or the different flowers in a garland. Neurodiversity is just like that. Every person adds their own beauty, their own ideas, and their own way of us thinking to the world. People with learning disabilities or different ways of thinking are not less. They just learn and experience the world differently. When we understand and include everyone, we make our schools, families, and communities stronger and stronger. So let's open our hearts and minds today. Let's learn, share, and celebrate the amazing power of being different together. Thank you all for being here today and for supporting inclusion and understanding. I would like to introduce a dedicated children's doctor with over 15 years of experience in making a positive difference in the lives of children and young people. She has a special interest in epilepsy and has had the privilege of working with children who have complex health needs. When she's not at work, apart from juggling school runs and activities, she enjoys walks in the beautiful countryside or practicing yoga to unwind. Dr. Golden LaCroix.
Anybody wanted to go on the stage?
For the kind introduction, Shania, and thank you, Sarika and the Society for this opportunity. I'm delighted to talk to you all about neurodiversity. So what is a neurodiversity? It's about everybody's brains working differently. We all think, feel, and we behave very differently. This is because there is a variation in how our brains are wired, how our brain processes that information. And it's different from one person to the other. That makes us.
So firstly, thank you everyone for being here. We would like to thank all those that supported the event, including Southampton City Council, NHS organisations, MenCat Southampton, Autism Hampshire, Southampton Parent Carer Forum, the employees. The employment.
Come forward.
So we would like to thank all the guest speakers and all the organisations that came out with their stalls to support the event, that have given up their time to be here today. And thanks to all the volunteers that support the event and our lovely audience that are here to listen and learn. When we were planning this last health day that we had a suggestion from one of our young volunteers to hold a Neurodiversity and Learning Disability Day to raise awareness of these topics which are not understood within our community. Therefore, I would like to introduce the volunteer who inspired today's event, Shania Chandarana.
Good afternoon everyone, my name is Shania and I'm 12 years old. I feel very happy and proud to be standing here today to welcome you all to this special event on neurodiversity and learning disabilities. Today we are here to celebrate something very important, the beautiful ways in which our brains work differently. Some of us learn fast, some take time, some of us love music, some love maths, and some express themselves best through art or movement, and that's what makes each of us unique and special. In our Indian culture, we are taught to see diversity as a source of strength, like the many colours in a rangoli or the different flowers in a garland. Neurodiversity is just like that. Every person adds their own beauty, their own ideas, and their own way of us thinking to the world. People with learning disabilities or different ways of thinking are not less. They just learn and experience the world differently. When we understand and include everyone, we make our schools, families, and communities stronger and stronger. So let's open our hearts and minds today. Let's learn, share, and celebrate the amazing power of being different together. Thank you all for being here today and for supporting inclusion and understanding. I would like to introduce a dedicated children's doctor with over 50 years of experience in making a positive difference in the lives of children and young people. She has a special interest in epilepsy and has had the privilege of working with children who have complex health needs. When she's not at work, apart from juggling school runs and activities, she enjoys walks in the beautiful countryside or practicing yoga to unwind. Dr. Golden the floor.
Anybody wanted to go on the stage?
For the kind introduction, Shania, and thank you, Sarika and the Society for this opportunity. I would like to talk to you all about neurodiversity. what is a neurodiversity? It's about everybody's brains working differently. We all think, feel, and we behave very differently. This is because there is a variation in how our brains are wired, how our brain processes that information, and it's different from one person to the other. That makes us neurodiverse. Neurotypical is actually opposite of neurodiversity. So we need to know what is neurotypical before we can understand what is neurodiverse. Most of the population, 80-85% people in UK are neurotypical. That means that their brain interprets the world in a way the society expects them to. Their development when they're younger is felt to be expected for their age. And when they are older, their intelligence, their learning, their IQs, that are felt to be within normal range. And the rest of the population, 15% of us, are neurodiverse. And there are certain conditions which come under this term. Majority of it is autism and ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. But it now also includes some other conditions which I'm not sure if you've heard of, but I'm sure there is more coming on today on these. So there is dyspraxia, which means there is problem with coordination. The child's coordination is not great. It's also called developmental childhood coordination disorder. Dyslexia, which means that there is problem in reading. Dyscalculia is problems using numbers. In these problems, there may not be an effect on the overall intelligence for the child. Their learning or the development may still be normal, but they need help with this. So it's important these conditions are recognized and appropriately supported. Tourette syndrome is also now being considered as a neurodiverse condition. It's a condition where children have tics. So I don't know if you've heard of tics. These are involuntary movements. Children and young people have no control over them. You may have seen children who have repeated eye blinking. They make sounds from their throats, or they're shrugging their shoulder, more often in stressful or anxious situations. So that part of that is Tourette syndrome. And I'm sure there will be a few more which I have not mentioned are now being classified as neurodiverse conditions. I'll be mainly covering two topics. One is autism and briefly about ADHD. So let's explore what's autism. Around 700,000 people in UK have autism. And you'll be surprised to know that 1 in 100 children have the diagnosis of autism or autistic spectrum disorder. Males are affected more than females, and the ratio is different. Places mention different numbers. It varies from 2 to 1 to 16 to 1. And it is very likely that it is undiagnosed, underdiagnosed, or misdiagnosed in girls, because girls present and behave differently from boys. Girls can mask their traits. People around them may not see those signs, and therefore they are underreported over boys. It looks a bit different when it comes to girls, and the assessments which are done are more sensitive to boys or less sensitive to girls. But it does exist in girls. Girls do have autism, and we need more awareness to recognize it. So in autism or autistic spectrum disorder, there are 3 key areas which are affected. One is communication, another is social interaction, and then it's restricted or stereotypical behaviors. You have to have problems in all 3 areas to get a diagnosis of autism. So let's explore what's the problem with communication with these children. Most often, these children have speech delay. They talk later than expected, they talk less than expected, they may not talk at all, they may not have any meaningful words. And when we communicate, it's not just what we talk or what we say, it's also what's our body language? What's our facial expression? Can we look at others when we talk? Do we use any gestures? What are our facial expressions like? So it's not just that their verbal expression is delayed or affected, it's also they're unable to communicate non-verbally. So there may not be any pointing, any waving, no blowing of kiss, no thumbs up, fist bumps, all those little gestures children do may be missing. These children may not understand or recognize their name. So quite often I get children which are referred to us by the hearing department because parents think my child cannot hear. Is there a problem with their hearing rather than them not actually recognizing that that's their name, that's who they are and they are being spoken to or called. These children can repeat words, that's called echolalia. So they can repeat words either immediately, you say something to them, they repeat straight after you, or they say things which they have heard from somebody, or maybe from a TV program, or a song. They will say those words completely randomly out of context. They can have speech regression, which means that they lose some speech. This is most often the younger children, maybe around the age of 18 months. They learn to speak very simple words like mama, baba, dada, nana, and then they stop speaking that. So that is what speech regression is. It is not a fully developed speech they use. It is only a few words. These children have particular behaviors. These are called stereotypical and restricted behaviors. They thrive on routine. They prefer a very strict routine. You have to do set things in a set way at a set time for them. Otherwise, they find it difficult to manage, cope. This can lead to stressful situations, this can lead to meltdowns, challenging behaviors, even if it's a minute late, even if it's a different way you have dressed them and then brushed them and then gave them breakfast, or the other way around. This can be very, very difficult. So sticking to routine for these children is very, very important. Having a structure for the day, and if there is a change coming, prepare them well in advance. They can have obsessions or unusual attachments. There may be a toy they don't want to leave ever. They will carry that toy with them everywhere. And it has to be the same toy, same brand, same make. Parents have to buy stock. If they lose one, they want the same toy back again, otherwise it's difficult. And this changes, that the attachment to toy can be one toy for a few months and then something else for the next couple of months. These children have a bit of odd interests. So they can sit in front of a washing machine and watch it spinning for hours and hours. They may like...
They even get into the washing machine.
Oh gosh, that's a bit worrying. Yeah, they like bus numbers, car plate numbers. I have a child who loves spiders, so he has different types of spiders, plastic, soft toys, and he's fascinated when he sees a spider.
I've got one with the dinosaurs.
Dinosaurs, yes. All different things, and some things can be really odd and you think, is this what you really like all the time? They can have body movements, we call it mannerisms, so flapping hands, especially when they're excited or they're stressed. They can walk on their tiptoes. They can perfectly put their feet down flat on the ground, but they prefer going up. They like to walk forwards, spinning around. They can spin around for long hours, backwards, forward spacing. That's also they can do for a long time. They had some sensory issues. So dietary restriction is one of the very important sensory issues because it can be so extreme that these children do not grow as expected. For example, eating only custard creams for 3 times a day, a few biscuits of a certain brand is what a child eats. Then you can imagine how much it would worry parents about their growth, their development. No matter if you prescribe supplements, it's very difficult, they don't take. You change the brand, they wouldn't take. They wouldn't take a homemade replacement of the things they want. And most often these are dry, crunchy foods, what they prefer to eat. Rather than wet foods, saucy foods, foods with gravies, is very difficult for them to accept.
Vegetables as well.
Yes, vegetables, fruits. So this is usually the unhealthy, nice tasting food which they want to eat all the time. Nuggets, the chicken nuggets or veggie nuggets, fingers, fish fingers. So these are the main kind of foods they want to eat. And again, they may be restricted to even one shop, one brand, which makes it even trickier. I have children who drink only fruit juice from a bottle of a certain flavor, and if they run out, it can be very difficult in the middle of the night to run out with that particular drink for the child. And then we have definitely worry about their growth, and we've seen the growth faltering, and then there is a specific condition called ARFID, which leads to the growth problem, growth failure if the child is not eating well. There are other sensory problems, so it can be linked to any of your body senses. It could be your sound, smell, touch, feel. So, for example, if a child is in a busy place, it's very overwhelming, it's very loud. Sound of hand dryers in public places can make them very upset. Certain type of smells, touch and feel, so going for a hair wash or a haircut, touching their hair can be a problem. Daily routines, and they may not accept certain type of fabric. Tags on the clothes need to be gone. They may want to wear a jumper even if it's 30 degrees, or always want to have a coat on them when they go out, whether it's raining or not. They may not like restricted clothing, something that's very tight, with belts, with buttons, with zips. Some children even don't like the restriction of the car seat. That can be an issue. Anything that's very tight. So you can imagine how much parents can struggle in their day-to-day life, which feels very normal to some of us. These tiny issues become really challenging in the day-to-day care for the children. There are difficulties around autism. People think it's a rare condition, or it only affects boys, which is not the case. It doesn't happen by cold parenting, that means emotionally unavailable parent. It just doesn't happen due to that. And it doesn't happen due to emotional stress. I have mothers who ask me whether I'm bringing this child up a bit differently from my older one. Am I neglecting this one? Have I not been that available to this one? It's not linked to it. People think autistic children, or children with autism, as I should get myself, cannot learn, can never make eye contact, can never show affection and never smile, and that's absolutely wrong. Children with autism can smile, they can learn, their eye contact can improve, they can learn to smile, they can be very affectionate. All they need is support to be able to do that. And the support needs to come early, as early as possible. There is a myth around vaccination, especially MMR. There is no evidence. Please get your children vaccinated as scheduled, as planned. Vaccinations are not linked to development of autism. They will protect your children from very deadly infectious diseases, but will not give your child autism. You may have recently heard about paracetamol use in pregnancy. There is absolutely no evidence. So if you're pregnant needs paracetamol, go ahead, have it, it's safe. Safe to use. UK has published its statement as well around it to give people more understanding. People think children or young people who have autism, they all have learning disabilities. That's not the case. Not everybody with autism has problems with their learning. Some of them have even, I'd say, above average learning, or normal learning at least. They're children with high functioning autism. Only a little bit autistic? Do you agree with that? we either have it or we don't have it. If you have it, you have it. I've heard parents saying, "Thoda sa hai, thoda sa autism hai." It could be on the milder end of the spectrum because it is a spectrum, and not all children, what I have mentioned, will have all of it to that degree. So it will be mild, moderate, severe. We don't clinically classify, but it is a spectrum. And as I said, every child is different with autism. We have a diagnosis, but every child differs. We are all autistic. We may have a trait or two, but remember those three areas. You have to have problems in all three areas at all times, in all settings. So we're not all autistic. So the crucial element to help these children to manage the problems is to give them support. And to give that support, we need to be able to recognize it early on. That early support is crucial. That will give better outcomes to your child. Recognize it, and easier said than done, we have to accept it. And then seek support. You cannot do it all. I cannot do it all. Ask for support. Ask for help. There are behavioral interventions which can be done with these children. Works can be done to help them with routines, structures. We can take help from social stories. A social story is a story you can create if you are preparing them for a change, or something even which is in their daily routine. This is how they will get up, go to toilet, brush their teeth, train, change clothes, come to have breakfast. Or if they're coming to an appointment, show them the pictures of the room they'll be going to, pictures of the nurse who's going to take the bloods, what time will they be going, what date will be. And the longer you prepare for a change, they may adapt to it a bit better. And you can create social stories on anything. Going to the classroom, going to dentist, coming to see a parent coming, extended family coming in. Anything which is not going to be their daily routine. Around weekends, around holidays. There are other communication aids which could use, and I saw some display on one of those tables there, around PECS. It's called Picture Exchange Communication System. So a child can learn to use pictures and say, I want food, and they can bring the picture. If they can't say, they can please use the picture. There can be visual schedules, so pictures of what they're going to do. This is eating time, play time, story time, sleep time. It's important then when they are at the age where you're looking at the education setting, which school they're going to go to, because they may not cope in a mainstream school of classroom of 33 children. It's very, very overwhelming. They will need extra support. Some of the schools have now started in nurture units where they only have a few children separately so that they can meet their needs. It's still a mainstream setting. But if the conditions to the degree that a mainstream school cannot support, then there is option of special schools. Again, it can be very difficult for parents to accept that my child is not going to be going to a normal school. But it's important to understand that the special schools are meant to be meeting the needs of these children in a much better way than in a mainstream setting. They can have something called EHCP. It used to be called Educational Statement. It's Education Healthcare Plan. So education and health come together to provide a plan for the child. It's individualized. It identifies what child's needs are, and then school provides that support. Education provides that support. So do they need one-to-one person all the time? Do they need a classroom which should not have more than 5 children? Do they need a classroom which shouldn't have any wires and cables in it? Does the classroom build to the needs? Can it keep them safe? So lots of things need to be looked at, and also there are medical stuff which we can mention and write if they have other medical conditions such as seizures or asthma or diabetes or something like that. That also goes in this plan. How to help, what to do if the child has so and so problem. But it's important that they have a structured, individualized program in the right setting. Once they get it, then it's renewed every year. And again, there are people who will be talking specifically about it, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'll leave it. Yeah. So if you are worried about your child's development, talk to the health visitor. So all children under 5 years of age should have a health visitor or until they start school. They can be your first port of call. They can pick up these signs. They can do a developmental review. They can make a lot of referrals. They can refer to speech therapy. They can refer for hearing tests. They can refer to us. And they are trained to give you support. So support around sleep, support around behavior, support around toileting. They may not come and visit routinely every child, but they are there, and you have to arrange to come to your place to see your child. They routinely come at the age of 1 to do a developmental check, and then they come at the age of 2. But if you have problems in between, speak to them or speak to your GP. If your child is in a nursery or a preschool, there will be nursery workers, nursery staff who will be trained to understand, recognize these signs, and then signpost you to the right support. If your child is in school, then you will have something called Special Education Need Coordinator, which we have one of them with us today to talk more about how they can support. And that is the person to go to if there are problems and your child already started school. Local authorities provide something called local offer. So that is support around special education needs and disabilities. So they should have a web page. Most of them would have a web page which will give you information on resources, on activities, even on EHCP, what's the educational support available, what can you do for your child, and look that up for, it's different for Hampshire and different for Boston. So every authority has it a different name, but essentially the same thing. It's for 0 to 25 years of age. And there are support groups which you could be part of. It could be within your community who you know, or it could be on social media. But beware of the myths versus facts when you are in a support group. Because there is lots going around on social media which may not be true, which may not be applicable to your child, because every child, as I say, is very different. So briefly about ADHD. It's attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. 2.6 million people in the UK have ADHD, and out of which nearly 700,000 are children. It's less recognized in girls again than boys. Girls with ADHD mainly have problems with attention, inattentive symptoms, and that makes it even harder to recognize. Lots of adults have now developed understanding of ADHD, and they're asking for the ADHD assessments. So this is not a new concept. It's just evolving. Our understanding is evolving. Our acceptance of these conditions is evolving. In ADHD, the child or young person has problems with attention. They're inattentive. They're very hyperactive. And they can be very impulsive. Inattention means that they can be very easily distracted. They will flick from one activity to the other. They find it hard to listen when the other person is talking. They can't follow the instructions. They can forget everyday tasks, so organization can be an issue. They can forget to brush their teeth, put on the socks, turn on the light. Simple things. It's because their attention span is very short. If you ask them to do something, they will go and then they may forget what was I asked to do. Bring my shoes, bring my coat. I don't know. Hyperactivity and impulsivity are also the key areas which are affected. So these children have very high energy levels, very, very energetic, may not need much sleep, on the go. They fidget with hands, with feet, talk very loudly, cannot sit still. So some schools have fidget cushions to make them,
Box.
bounce or be able to focus while they're still moving. They can climb everywhere. Windowsills, examination table in my clinic, my chair, come everywhere, touch everything in the room. And can be very hard for even people around them sometimes if they're that hyperactive. They cannot wait for their turn. They'll interrupt their conversation. There's no danger awareness, very limited danger awareness. It's called flight risk. They run into roads, try to jump from the window. So some of the parents have to make the child-proof room where they can stay but be still safe. So special window locks, sometimes even chains around across their room so that they don't come out. If they can easily climb stairways, that doesn't work. They can be very aggressive and very destructive, throwing things, breaking things, pulling, pushing, biting, screaming, kicking, verbal aggression. So different forms of aggressions are seen in ADHD. This condition is a bit difficult to diagnose in under 5s, so usually the assessment is not undertaken until the child is 5 or over. It's because until you are 5, you're still developing. You must still catch up. And some of the behaviors may improve. Some of the toddler behaviors can, look like this. They're tired, are you hungry? You haven't slept very well? Is that why you're not able to concentrate? Or are hyper. People use the term hangry. So is it due to that? That's why in younger children, a lot of people actually think they have ADHD, but children don't have ADHD at that age. So we have parents of 2 years old and 3 years old coming to us saying, my child I think has ADHD, but that is perfectly normal toddler behavior. If your 2-year-old is focusing for 2 minutes, I'm happy. And these symptoms have to be present across all settings. So children sometimes can behave very differently at home as compared to school or nursery or when they're around in public places. The child has to have the same symptoms in all settings to have the diagnosis. So there are observations which are done in school to get this diagnosis, and obviously history from parents. You have to have all of that in all those settings to get the diagnosis. My message again here would be to seek this help early. If you're seeing any of these signs, speak to someone, get that help early for them. Speak to GP, speak to school, preschool. As I said, same goes at school. We'll be knowing who to contact, how the assessment's done. Every area works differently. There are different teams who do different types of works. Portsmouth has neurodiversity team. I've just learned Southampton's developing the same model. And CAMS also does some diagnosis. So it's different teams for different areas, but they're there and the support's around. This is a list of resources which I have put on for you, and they are very good websites. There's a book called Chin Paradox by Steve Peters. It is the model which explains how children react, what's the emotional regulation looking like, and what should we do if our child's challenging, and is it one of these neurodiverse conditions, or is this my child, just my child only? And obviously there are other websites for support and support groups for parents who have children with these problems. So thank you very much. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
I will not be able to stay until the very end, so if you have any questions, I'll be very happy to answer now.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So the next person I'd like to introduce you to is an award-winning local celebrity who is on a mission to transform how the world supports autistic children. She's the founder of Autism Brain Empowerment, a TEDx speaker and best-selling author of Unlock Autism. She is a dynamic voice in the autism space, known for blending cutting-edge neuroscience with lived experience to empower parents worldwide. Please welcome Tabor. Hello.
Hi everyone, my name is Deva. I was born and raised in Southampton. I actually went to school with Nikki, so we were in the same class at school. I wanted to make this presentation as interactive as possible. If anyone scans a QR code, I will send you some freebies. Yeah. So more people getting out their phones, so everyone get a chance to get their phones out. So once you scan away.
Do we just say hello when we scan the code?
Yeah, you can write hi. If you want my summary slides, just WhatsApp me the word slides, and then you'll get my summary slides. And if you WhatsApp me the word chapter, you'll get the free first chapter of my book. So everyone, because this whole presentation is going to rely on like people WhatsApping me words to make it more interactive. So I hope everyone's had a chance to do that. So from this session, you will walk away with an understanding of the common autism symptoms, but Dr. Bawunda has done an amazing job with that. I can't find where she's sitting. Yeah, she's done an amazing job at doing that, so I won't repeat what she says. But you'll also have an understanding of how you can access a 7-step autism action plan will address the root causes of your child's symptoms, and I've got loads of time for questions if there is time as well. So all the common symptoms of autism, Dr. Bawunda has pretty much said really comprehensively explained. So communication differences, social challenges, repetitive behaviours, sensory sensitivities, and sometimes like poor sleep, poor appetite, anxiety or aggression are all very common signs. Regressions. So regressions they affect children. So how many people have children with autism here? 1, 2, 3, 4. So quite a few of you. And then you can keep your hand up if your child had an autism skills regression where they had certain skills, but then they lost them. Okay, so Sarika, yeah. Anyone else? Yeah, in the back. So about a third of children with autism will present with no symptoms, no clear symptoms of autism at birth. So they will have eye contact, they will have a social smile, they'll have words, they'll be a good sleeper, a good eater, just like my son was. But then something will happen around 12 months and 36 months, and they will lose all of those skills they once had. And as parents, I've spoken to lots of parents, and me myself, we're holding on to the videos of our child when they had words and when they were behaving normally, because it's really heartbreaking to accept that your amazing child who was doing everything on time has now suddenly lost all of those skills, and it's very difficult to understand, and it affects about 1/3 of children with autism. I did my TED talk about this as well. So my TED talk is called Unlocking Your Child's Autism Switch. But if you WhatsApp me the word TED, you will get my video, so you can watch it. I'll give everyone a chance to do that. So you can basically go back onto the WhatsApp, and then if you just write the word TED, you'll get sent my video. So this is my story. So I used to be a dentist. I graduated from the University of Bristol. I have a degree in dentistry. And while I was there, I won the clinical research prize in my year. So I was the only person in the whole year group who won the prize for the best independent research of that whole. It's like a 2-year research project, and alhamdulillah, I won that. My son is now 7 years old. I also have a 4-year-old girl who's neurotypical. But my 7-year-old son had no autism symptoms at all. He was developing fine, really well. He had words. He could say that he could name his colours. He could feed himself. Everything was fine. But then at 20 months old, something happened, and then he lost all of those skills. And it was honestly really, really hard to accept that because, you know, he went from having amazing sleep to now at night time he's wide awake and hyperactive, and the next day he doesn't even seem tired. You know, to feeding himself to now he is, like he was feeding himself 3 meals and 2 snacks every day, and we have the videos of him doing this. To, after his regression, 1 bite of food, body mushkindinal, so it was really, really, really hard. And I actually went to loads of healthcare professionals. I've got 2 sisters who are teachers, and they told me very clearly, your son has autism, and you need to get early years intervention help, because if you do that, he'll have the best chance of succeeding. So I was, okay, I'm really on it as a mum, went to the GP, went to the health visitor, and they said, okay, yeah, it sounds, if he had skills, and then he lost them, it sounds like he probably does have autism, but it's going to take about 3 years to get an official diagnosis of autism. In that time, he can access some support and services from the NHS, like speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, you know, a few other those therapies. And after a few months on the waiting list, he got an assessment. A few months on the waiting list after the assessment, he got the appointments. And the appointments he got were 1 half-an-hour session every 8 to 12 weeks, which I was like, it was clearly not going to be enough to help him or make any change for him. And whenever I went to any healthcare professional, I asked, what caused autism? What happened to him? Like, how did he get these symptoms? And the only answer I got was, autism is genetic. And I said, if it's genetic, how come he wasn't born like this? He had words, he had eye contact, something happened. And they said, no, it's genetic. You know, he always had autism. He just started showing symptoms later. And okay, well, autism, as you know now, based on Dr. Baldwin's amazing presentation, is based on a series of observed behaviours. And my son didn't have any of those observed behaviours in the first 20 months of his life, so he didn't always have autism. So then I was like, and then the attitude I actually got from the amazing NHS health professionals, which we all know they are overworked, underpaid, really under-resourced, and they are leaving the profession, like leaving service because of how much they are overworked and how little support they're given. The attitude I received from the amazing healthcare professionals was just to lower your expectations of him and accept things how they are, because every time I said, oh, he's doing this, look at this video, look what he's doing, they'd say, oh, this is just his autism. Like, that was an explanation. But I couldn't really wrap my head around that. So in my dental school degree, which I graduated from the University of Bristol, you do neuroscience. So you learn about neuroscience and neuroanatomy, passed my exams, did all of that. So I was like, they have completely disregarded the availability of something called neuroplasticity. So has anyone heard of neuroplasticity here? Yes, one person shaking their head. Anyone else? You can put your hands up. Yes. Okay, so neuroplasticity is the ability to rewire your brain, which everyone has access to. So my son was only 2.5 years old when we were speaking to the occupational therapist and the speech and language therapist, and I felt like those people had just written him off. And when I spoke to the occupational therapist, I said to her, what about neuroplasticity? Can't my son change? All of these symptoms he has, and he did stimming. Honestly, I've got all the videos from them back then as well, how much he stimmed, how much he had meltdowns, how much, any sound, which wasn't even that loud, would affect him, and he'd be like in a panic and so scared. And they said, the person I spoke to anyway, he said that neuroplasticity is only available to stroke victims, not children with autism. And I thought, okay, luckily, I did my degree, and nearly all of my friends from university are still medics and dentists. And I felt like how much the brain grows in childhood, especially the first 3 years, especially the first 5 years, she had completely dismissed him, that he could change. So I thought, okay, I'm not going to help I want my son to have, and the dreams I had for him as a parent, I cannot give up on that. So I started to learn about all of the biological causes of autism and all of the environmental influences of autism to try and help him myself. So my long-term vision is to show parents everywhere that autism works like a dimmer switch. So with the right changes, symptoms can fade down and a child's true potential can light up. So that's my long-term vision, to show everyone that it works like a dimmer switch. So I developed this 7-step autism action plan, which is what my book is about, my book Unlock Autism. And it is based on the known biological causes of autism. If you WhatsApp me the word slides, you'll be getting a more of a thorough breakdown of all of this, but I will just explain it now. So step 1 is optimize oxytocin. So oxytocin is a really powerful hormone that we all have in our bodies, and it's something that can increase as well. So you can do certain things in the environment to increase your child's oxytocin levels, and when their oxytocin levels increase, it can help them to learn more. So oxytocin is famously called the love hormone, the bonding hormone. So how many of you have had an experience here where you have a teacher and maybe they teach maths or they teach history, and you just happen to like that teacher more? And did you learn maths and history better from them? Raise your hands if that's, yeah. So you can absolutely do that for your child. So if your child, you're trying to teach them to potty train, you want to improve their communication skills. If you can boost their oxytocin levels, they will also learn new skills faster. And there's a whole wealth of science proving the exact same thing. Step 2 is break down blood. So there are certain biomarkers in a child's blood that if you can increase or decrease, can decrease the severity of their symptoms. So the blood test results, so I work with parents, I'm an autism parent coach, so I work specifically with parents, and I generally believe it's the parents who will do the most for their child. Like, it's the biggest impact on a child's life outcomes is like what the parents do. And so this is why I work with parents, because they are the most invested in their child. So parents, when it comes to step 2 of my 7-step program, I ask parents to go to the GP and get a blood test to test for certain markers. So, and the results I will see come back is that children with autism are commonly low in iron. If you are low in iron, it will affect your focus levels. If you can boost iron, their child will have better focus and they can learn better at their therapy appointments. Other biomarkers are that children are often low in omega-3. So omega-3 index, which you can't do on the NHS, but you can do at an at-home test bit. Omega-3 index should be between 8 to 12%. Children with autism are commonly have an omega-3 index of 1.41%. And with ADHD, it's around 3%. But if you boost their omega-3 levels, it can really improve their concentration and decrease their hyperactivity. And I've got a whole list of biomarkers like that. Another one that's part of the breakdown blood test is a FRAC test. Who here has heard of a FRAC test? Okay, who here has heard of Donald Trump talking about leucovorin? No one's heard about it? Okay, he's been talking about it the last... I'm actually quite surprised by that. So anyone's heard of Donald Trump talking about autism the last 3 weeks?
The paracetamol thing, yeah.
Yeah, he did talk about the paracetamol thing, but he has also talked about leucovorin. No one heard about that? Okay, so what he said was, so one of the biological causes of autism is a cerebral folate deficiency. So again, all of these causes, not all children will have it, but some children will have it. So some children will have autism symptoms and they'll have a cerebral folate deficiency. What that means is they have a low folate in the part of their brain, and that's worsening their autism symptoms. So if you do a FRAC test, which is a folate receptor autoantibody blood test, I don't believe it's available on the NHS, but you can do it privately in the UK. It will tell you whether your child has an autoantibody, which is it's like a part of that. They're making a chemical in their body which blocks the receptor of folate in their brain, which means they can't absorb folate from their food. And if they can't absorb folate from their food and that receptor site is blocked, they'll have a cerebral folate deficiency. Everything that Donald Trump was talking about was that if a child does have a cerebral folate deficiency, they may benefit from leucovorin, which is called folinic acid in the UK. It's called folinic acid, also called calcium folinate. Or if they have a different result to the FRAP test, they might benefit from methylfolate, based on the idea that children with autism are more likely to be undermethylated. So that's a wealth of research, decades-long research behind that, and it's part of my program because I genuinely believe it's the most comprehensive autism program in the country. So step 3 is grasp the gut-brain bond. So again, for the parents of children with autism, raise your hand if your child has had a history of ongoing constipation or constipation episodes or diarrhea. Okay, one at the back. So it's about 40% of children with autism will have ongoing constipation or ongoing diarrhea, and they'll need to be prescribed laxatives for this, or that's what the GP will do, or the pediatrician will prescribe you laxatives for it. But there's a wealth of research which talks about the gut-brain bond. So who here knows about the gut-brain bond? Heard about it? You got your hand up? Yeah. So basically it's the idea that your gut is your second brain. And so that your children with autism, a subset of them, because every child with autism is different, are more likely to have a different gut microbiome, which is worsening their autism symptoms. But we are very lucky. Your gut microbiome can change based on the food that you eat. So you can absolutely change your child's diet, decrease the severity of their symptoms for a subset of children with autism. So that's available to everyone. So you can, if your child does have a leaky gut or does have a different type of gut microbiome, which is worsening the severity of their symptoms, step 3 is going to really help you guys. Step 4 is take down toxins. So this is actually not that commonly known in the UK, but who here knows that children with autism are more likely to have a higher concentration of heavy metals inside their bodies?
I've heard recently actually, and I also heard there are sprays you can get that you spray on the tongue that might help them take down the toxins. But
there are certain sprays, yeah. Has anyone, I can talk about that as well. Anyone else has heard about children with autism are more likely to have a higher concentration of heavy metals inside their body? Yes, person in the back, okay. So children with autism are more likely to have a slow detox pathway in their body. So what that means is that every single one of us, there's toxins in our environment, and your gut is like your first port of call to get toxins out of your body. Then it's your liver, then it's your kidneys and your skin, and these organs protect us to get toxins out of our environment, out of our body. And children with autism, well, children in general, they are more likely to, like children in general, the detoxification pathways that we have in our body are not mature until they're 10 years old. And children with autism in general are more likely to have a slow detox pathway. And that's another, and if your child also has constipation episodes or diarrhea episodes, you know their gut is not working as it should be. Which means that with the gut being the main organ of detoxification, they're almost certainly going to have a buildup of heavy metals in their body. So I'll talk about your spray, but so in this day and age, there's so many toxins in our environment that we don't even consider it as toxins. For example, we all drank from plastic water bottles here today, and microplastics have been shown to increase the inflammation in your body. In fact, they've done so many autopsies where they've done autopsies on the brain, and they found that 0.05%, basically a credit card's worth of plastic is coming out of the brain on autopsies, which is crazy. So this plastic is brand new material, and it's not supposed to be in your body. But if you're having it, it can cause your body recognize, oh, what is this? I've never seen microplastics before. It must be something foreign. It has an inflammatory reaction and worsens people's autism symptoms. But that's just one example. There's many pesticides, herbicides. It's all quite commonly known in the scientific literature, but hasn't actually gone through to the healthcare system yet in the UK. But so in step 4, take down toxins, I talk about just through completely natural strategies to help your child's gut work better, and their liver to work better, which means that they take all of these toxins out of their body through their poop. There are sprays, and the sprays, so I do it primarily just through food. The sprays are as a binder, and some parents do tell me that when they use the spray, they notice their child is less hyperactive or something like that. But other parents won't say that, so it's really dependent on the child. But that's step 4, take down toxins. Step 5 is solved with supplements. So there are certain supplements that you can give your child that again will decrease the severity of their autism symptoms. So if you have a child with autism, who here has a child with autism that also has anxiety or sleep issues? Yeah. Okay, so a huge percentage of the UK population also have a magnesium deficiency. So if you give your child magnesium, a certain type of magnesium, it will help them to sleep better and decrease their symptoms of anxiety or aggression. So yeah, there's that's solved with supplements, but there's a whole module within that. Everything is broken down into whole modules. Step 6 is charge the cerebellum. So the cerebellum is an area at the back of your brain, like here. It's about 10% of the size of your brain, but has 80% of the brain's connections within it. And the cerebellum is often smaller or different size in children with autism compared to neurotypical children. And that's why children with autism, if you have an autism diagnosis, you're also more likely to have a dyslexia or dyspraxia diagnosis because it's all focused on coordination. And so the cerebellum is in charge of lots of different things. Like I said, it's got 80% of the brain's connection within it. So it's like your brain's brain, it does lots of things. And it also overlaps with coordination. So if your child is particularly clumsy, everyone here got a clumsy child with autism? Quite clumsy? Yeah. So most likely they have a smaller cerebellum then as well. But just like how you can increase the size of your biceps through deliberate exercise, through neuroplasticity and deliberate exercises, you can increase the size of their cerebellum, which then decreases the severity of their symptoms. So there's a lot in that. In there I also include vagus nerve stimulation. So there's so much in that. But in vagus, anyone here know what the sympathetic nervous system is, or fight, flight, and freeze? Fight, flight, and freeze. Okay. So children with autism are more likely to be in that fight, flight, and freeze. So as humans, we all believe in God, I think, because we're at a temple. We were designed to, if there's a tiger, you either fight the tiger, you fly and you run away from the tiger, or you freeze because there's a tiger. So that's behavioural reaction. It's only supposed to be a short-term thing. You are not supposed to live in that fight, flight, and freeze. But children with autism are more likely to live in that fight, flight, and freeze. So they have a lot of meltdowns. They have a lot of tantrums. They might have anxiety. They might have a lot of aggression. Might lash out on people unexpectedly. It's because they're living more in that sympathetic nervous system, that fight, flight, and freeze. And their parasympathetic nervous system, that rest, digest, and repair mode, is underactive. So it's like underdeveloped. But there are things you can do to increase that, to help them live in that parasympathetic nervous system and to develop that more. So yeah, that's what we do in step 6. And step 7 is empower emotions. So empower, what I mean by that is that it's most commonly known that individuals with autism struggle with social relationships and like relationships in general and emotional intelligence. But the best part of life is your connections. So connections with friends, connections with family, connections with your neighbours, all those loose and weak connections. So, and individuals with autism are like 4 times as likely to be diagnosed with depression, twice as likely to be diagnosed with bipolar disorder, also more likely to be diagnosed with anxiety. And then when I learned that as a mum, I couldn't accept that for my child. I didn't want him to have depression as an adult. So in step 7, I developed a program to help increase your child's emotional intelligence. So just like how you can increase someone's IQ by doing certain exercises, giving a certain type of education, EQ, emotional quotient, is also a skill as well. And you can absolutely learn that and improve your child's emotional intelligence so they can also access the best part of life, which is relationships. got loads of testimonials. So if you WhatsApp me the word testimonials, you'll be sent my YouTube playlist of all video testimonials, and I've got even more written testimonials. So Raisa Ali, she lives in Southampton. Her son was 10 years old, and he was conversational, like he could talk, he was fine, like that he was okay, but he struggled with lashing out at people. So he had poor focus in school, and he lashed out often at his younger cousins. And she joined my program, and he also had chronic constipation as well, but this is one story out of many, but after joining my program, 6 weeks later, she said her son is less hyperactive, able to control his anxiety, willing to try new foods, started to become confident enough to put his hand up in class, and even walk to school by himself. So I'm really proud of all the results I get. Mohsin Mohammed is another person in Southampton, but I have clients all around the world, and you can see that on my YouTube channel. He has a 7-year-old daughter, also lives in Southampton, actually in St Mary's area. And his daughter, last Christmas, she was 7 years old, she struggled with hyperactivity, a lot of laughing fits at night, which indicated of a gut issue. She also had ongoing constipation. She had very poor sleep. She was completely non-verbal, so the only communication she had was through some nursery rhymes. So she could say twinkle twinkle little star sometimes, and never really on demand. And I'm so happy for this family. I'm happy for all the families I work with. But I just recorded, this testimony just got published 2 weeks ago on YouTube, but after 9 months, 6 to 9 months later, his daughter now has an understanding of language, can now speak short sentences. She can sleep the night. She's completely stopped stimming, completely stopped tiptoe walking, and she can now read and write the alphabet and numbers. And so it's all about, it's not erasing someone's autism, it's decreasing the severity of their symptoms so that they can have more joy in their life. And a lot of times in these video testimonials, I ask the parents, and they say, my child just seems happier. So I really like that part. I'm glad, I'm very happy for the families. But if you WhatsApp me the word testimonials, you'll be set my YouTube testimonials playlist. And if you WhatsApp me the word slides, you can get a copy, a summary slides of the whole 7-step autism action plan. And if you WhatsApp me the word webinar, you can register for my next free webinar, which is going to be on Sunday, so in 8 days' time at 8 o'clock, where I talk about the whole 7-step autism action plan in general, the 6-month program for parents to learn how to help their own child decrease the severity of their symptoms. But any questions at all?
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, absolutely.
You mentioned the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
I feel like a lot of people don't know about this amazing nerve. And I feel like something that we can actually change lives here by just mentioning just a few treatments on the vagus nerve.
Yeah.
It's only because my son suffered some stomach issues, and I've done, much like you, some research on how I can do it naturally. And I came across this document about the vagus nerve. And for me, it's become the biggest thing to learn about, because it dominates most of our body, upper half of it at least, to all our organs. So I was wondering if you can expand on that.
Yeah, sure. So,
just a little bit, I don't mean to.
No, that's fine. So if you want to talk about the vagus nerve, the vagus nerve is a really big, important nerve that we have in our bodies. It goes from the back of the brain, past the ear, to the heart, to the lungs, to the stomach, and is in charge of lots of different functions. So if you are calm, if you can rest, if you have a good digestion, you will have a vagus nerve that is working properly. So it has good vagal tone. And if you can imagine, if you're calm, your breathing is deeper, it's not shallow, that's your vagus nerve making your lungs breathe normally and not like if you were anxious or in a state or in having a meltdown. Then it does the same thing for your heart, so it slows your heart rate down. It does the same thing for your stomach, so it improves digestion. And children with autism are more likely to have a poor vagal tone. So they're more likely to have these meltdowns. So vagus nerve does rest, digest, and repair. So they find it hard to rest. So it might take hours for your autistic child to fall asleep at night. They might be hyperactive, so that shows you that they can't rest, which means their vagus nerve doesn't really work properly. That it's not doing its functional rest, digest, and repair. They may have digestion issues, so they're pooing pebbles or they're pooing diarrhea often, unexplainably, the only one in the family. That shows you their vagus nerve isn't working very well. They might have repair issues, which means that they either you have a lot of inflammation in their body that's not resolving, or like more obvious ways that your child might get sick often. So if they're always getting sick and you don't really know why, it's actually what I personally think, it's not actually that normal for your child to get sick more than once a year. Like if they're getting sick more often than that, they have some sort of, you need to address that and try to boost their immune system. And that's what happens to the program. So I have a lot of video testimonials where the parents say, in the last 6 months, none of us have gotten sick now as a family, despite all the weather changes. So so that's all to do with your gut microbiome, which is held 70% of your immune system. It's definitely to do with your vagus nerve, which gets you into repair mode. So it's all about biology-based solutions to decrease the severity of your child's symptoms. But I hope I answered that about the vagus nerve, but it is a really important nerve. But I believe everything I do is complementary to schools and healthcare providers, but I've spoken to a lot of parents and they struggle, like me, one appointment, half an hour every 8 to 12 weeks with the NHS, or like through the school system, your child needs to be 2 to 3 years behind, that's what schools have told me, to get an EHCP, and even if your child is clearly 2 or 3 years behind, it's a years-long battle. And then that early years intervention period, which we're told about, is so important, just goes. So this is why I developed my program, and I'm very, very happy to work with, and it has worked for so many parents, and I'm extremely proud of that. Any other questions? Yeah.
Is leucovorin available on prescription here?
Sorry, say that again?
Is leucovorin available on prescription here?
Yeah, leucovorin is available on prescription through a private GP, yes. But leucovorin is also called calcium folinate and folinic acid, which you can get as a supplement over the counter. So you don't need a prescription. The prescription is the exact same thing as the supplement. So yeah, it's kind of like how ibuprofen and Nurofen are exactly the same, or Panadol and paracetamol are exactly the same. They're the exact same. Any other questions? Go ahead.
Is there any particular gut health supplements that you can
So with the gut, the best way to heal it is through food. So I think as humans, I think in the Western society, we've all, and this is not in ancient Indian society where Ayurvedic medicine tells you about everything starts from the gut. Yeah, so we actually know this in our heritage. We're very lucky to have our heritage. But so I think as Westerners, we are all taught to believe that if you take this one tiny 500 milligram tablet, it's going to change everything, and it's going to cause a chemical reaction in your body, which will, decrease your fever and make you feel better and take your headache away. But we really underestimate the impact of the thousands of kilograms of food we're eating, which is also causing chemical reactions in your body, which are worsening or improving some of your symptoms. So the best way to heal the gut is through food. So children who have a limited diet already, what I work on is expanding the diet. So because that's the best way. You can't. If someone has I've worked with parents before where they say, if I try and take gluten and dairy away from my child, they will starve. I say, I don't want your child to starve. Please don't feel the pressure to do that. Expand your child's diet first, so that they're accepting more things. And then it might take your child longer to really heal their gut, but you're doing it in a safe way. Any other questions?
How is your son now?
He's really good. I'm really, really proud of him. He's 7 years old. He goes to a mainstream school. He's in year 2. He can read and write expectedly. He actually won a writing prize in his year last year in Greece for the whole of Key Stage 1. Super, super happy and proud of him. I think that when I started this program, I was met with a lot of skepticism before I got my testimonials. I always reminded myself the best achievement is what I did with my son. And I'm so happy that no one can take that away from me. But now I'm just getting more and more written and video testimonials. So I'm happy it's working for lots of families as well. Cool. All right, thank you.
to introduce someone that needs no introduction at the moment and is known well by everyone here, volunteering in the temple for the past 7 years and currently our assistant secretary and events lead. On top of juggling temple duties, she works as a bank wealth manager and is the mum of 2 children, one of them with special needs. She is a co-founder of the Facebook group Autism Parents Support with over 20,000 followers. Today is the first time she will be talking publicly about her son and experience as being an autism mum supporting a child with special needs. Welcome, Sarika.
Thank you, Nikita, and thank you to all the amazing speakers and all the special guests that we have got today, and to all the people who are here to listen to us and to raise more awareness about this really important topic. My topic today is Every Voice Matters, and it is a journey of love, learning, and neurodiversity. So I think Nikita gave my introduction that I'm a mom of 2, co-founder of the Autism Support Group and wealth manager at the bank, assistant secretary and events lead at the temple, and I also sometimes do the radio show with Preeti Nair, Unity 101. So we try and do whatever we can for our community, but our family obviously comes first. So I started this journey of being a mum of an autistic child when Shivi came in our life. So I have 2 lovely children. One is Shania, who was here earlier, and Shania is 12 now. Shivi, his name is Shivi, but you will probably hear Shivi more often from me because that's what we call him at home. He's now 5 years old. He came in our life in 2020, and you can see the picture of Shania holding Shivi in the hospital, the happiest sister on earth that day. And Shivi is diagnosed with autism. He is non-verbal. He has PICA, which basically means that he puts non-food items in his mouth without understanding the danger. And he has something called global development delay, which means his development is delayed. He also has ADHD. I am very confident about it. The pediatrician did say that he will get an appointment once he is 5 years old. So I'm now just waiting for an appointment, and I am very, very confident he will have ADHD diagnosis as well. Shivi came in February 2020, and we all went into lockdown straight. I think he was 3 or 4 weeks old, and we were all in lockdown. Initially, there were no signs of any problems, although my delivery with Shivi was quite difficult. And I was told by the doctor that I am very lucky to be alive. So I thought it's more of my journey giving birth to him and how difficult it was for me. Never ever thought that there would be something going on with him until the age, he started nursery at the age of 11 months old. He started going to a private nursery in Chandler's Ford, where Taiba lives. Dr. Balwinder Kaur is around there as well. Sherborne House, a private school. And that nursery told me at the age, he was 15 months old, and they said, have you noticed that he doesn't respond to his name? And I laughed at that comment because I had no idea. And I said, he's a typical boy. What do you expect? And I was like, there's nothing wrong. He's just not responding to the name because he's a boy. And they were like, no, we would like you to get his hearing checked. It could be hearing related. And I said, okay, fine, I'll get it checked. And I was like, super confident mother, there's nothing wrong with my child, the nursery is just making a fuss. That's my attitude at the beginning. And then we started this journey. We started trying to get his hearing checked, but at that time the NHS queues were massive, so we said we'll go private. We spoke to a very dear friend, Dr. Ashok Rokade. He was the first person we approached thinking it's a hearing problem because he is an ENT specialist. And then Dr. Ashok Rokre tried to get his hearing test done privately twice, both time inconclusive results. So the doctor said, we can't decide whether he can hear or he can't, because we are trying all the tests and he's not responding, so we don't know. I was like, okay, £1,000 down, I still don't know whether my boy can hear or not. It's like, okay, where do I go from here? So then Dr. Ashok Rokre said, let me introduce you to my very dear friend, and there we meet Dr. Balvinder Kaur. And very kindly, she supported us, she observed him, and she asked me a question. She said, have you heard the word autism? And again, me being in my denial mode at that time, I said, yeah, I heard the word autism, because every time I Google it, my son doesn't respond to his name, autism comes up. So by that time, by the way, I've read every single article you can think of on autism, every single video you can think of on autism, but I was thinking, my son doesn't have autism. End of the story. And I used to laugh with Sanjay on this one, and I used to say, Sanjay, worst comes to worst, he's got a hearing doctor. Hearing aid pehnega, chalega, it's fine. What's the worst thing that's going to happen? He'll just have a hearing aid, that's it. A lot of people work with hearing aids in their life, there's nothing wrong with it. Anyways, then we started our journey to see NHS pediatrician, and they also started talking about autism, so then we're getting more serious. The first couple of months after I heard the word autism, I think I was in denial, but I also went into depression. I literally thought, why my son? Why him? And then, I don't know the moment, I don't know when it happened and how it happened, but one day I just woke up in the morning and I said to myself, Sarika, if you don't wake up from this, you're not going to be able to help him. So you need to get out of this sleep and you need to start the process, basically. And then we started approaching everybody we can, and we were very, very fortunate to have friends around who were like contacting their friends, their doctors, whoever therapists they can think of, they were already supporting us. And my friends would be like, oh, I'm going to introduce you to this one in US. He's a pediatrician, he's working in autism. I'm going to introduce you to this therapist, they can help you, whatever. And by that time, we were so open-minded. We were like, we'll go and approach anyone, we'll go and talk to anyone, wherever we get help, we'll take it. No problem whatsoever. We went to India, we got his diagnosis in India, we started the therapies in India straight away. We actually went to India on a holiday, for a 4-week holiday. The first day of our India trip, we went to the neurologist, got the diagnosis. From the next day, we cancelled the rest of the holiday, we were in the therapy center. And we just spent 4 weeks in therapy center. That's it. Just hired a hotel next to the therapy center, hotel, therapy center, hotel, therapy. That's all we have done. And now every time I go India, I do that. I just tell my family, I'm in Mumbai, in this hospital, in this therapy center. If anybody want to come and see me, they can come, more than welcome to come and see me. I'm not going to anybody's house. My priority is my children, and especially this boy who needs the therapies. Because therapies in UK have been very difficult. I think somebody mentioned, I think Taiba mentioned as well. I was given 3 therapy sessions over the span of 1 year, speech therapy session. And then after that I was told, you are his therapist. So I'm his therapist now. So because of that, we appreciate NHS has its own challenges. So I've taken things in my hands and I've done what I can do. So in my journey of diagnosis, obviously as you can imagine, I think we all talked about how difficult this journey is. It was very overwhelming at the start. It was a massive learning curve for me and Sanjay. We don't have anybody in the family who has autism. We don't have anybody in the family who has any sort of challenges like this. So we were like, not sure where to start. We didn't know what to do and how to start. As I talked about the depression as well, but we all have to come out of it for our own family. Then we started understanding what is autism. We understood it's a spectrum. My son could be anywhere on that spectrum. In UK, the diagnosis now doesn't tell you where your child is on the spectrum. It just says autism, right, Dr. Balvinder Kaur? So initially, again, this is just me being that positive mother. I was thinking, he might be on the autism, but thoda sa autism hoga. Like, he's low on the spectrum. He's not there. And then gradually you see the signs and you think, okay. So telling all the signs that I'm going to talk about right now, I think Dr. Balwinder Kaur has mentioned it, but I'm just talking about my personal experience of what Shivi has experienced. Some of the things that other children may experience, Shivi may not have experienced. So obviously I'm not going to talk about this. But initially, Shivi's growth was normal. Shivi was born while I was working in the temple as a volunteer. I was a treasurer at that time. So most of you have actually seen Shivi from the birth. And not that he always showed the symptoms, but he started showing the symptoms at a later age. He even started talking at the age of 6 months old. So at the age of 6 months, I thought everything is fine. He started crawling at the right age, he started walking at the right age. So we had no signs whatsoever until the nursery mentioned it. But he is non-verbal, so he can't speak. He cannot follow instructions. He cannot point. He cannot clap. He now does point, now does clap. But we had to teach him. So basically, a lot of things that we all learn automatically, we had to teach him. He used to walk on the tippy toes, he doesn't anymore. He does have sleep issues from many years, and we have to work around it. We use medication for that as well if needed. Sometimes he sleeps, sometimes he doesn't. He is very hyperactive, he doesn't have attention span, so you can sit down with him for 2 minutes, and third second, like 2 minutes, 1 second, he is out and he will not come back, no matter what you do. You have to give him a lot of input, sensory input, to make him work. So those are the challenges that we have with Shivi. And the reason why we thought this event is so important is because a lot of people, especially in our community, do not understand autism. And they just think sometimes child is misbehaving, child is spoiled, parents don't know how to raise the child, or sometimes they think it's just a speech delay. Don't worry, मेरा बच्चा भी 4 साल तक नहीं बोला था, 4 साल के बाद बोलने लगा, it's going to be fine. Which is absolutely fine. We are all motivating each other, we are all kind of, giving the hope. But then there are times when I get phone calls from India. My mom, my extended family, they all say, oh, अब तो 5 साल का हो गया, अब तो बोलता है ना. Now he speaks, right? No, he doesn't. Oh, कोई नहीं, 6 महीने में बोलेगा. And then it hits you because you know that he is not going to speak in 6 months' time, but you hope he does. And it's not that easy. He now says mom, but he doesn't look at me and say mom. So it just comes out randomly, mom. It's like, okay, at least he says mom, I'm happy about it. He has not taken anybody's name until now, but just recently he started saying Naya, 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 Naya. Now that's Shania, because the closest person he has, the most important person in his life is Shania. So he is now calling Naya, which we are very happy about. So we celebrate all that. We really enjoy those little things. And early interventions was really necessary. When he was 3 years old, we started fighting for the diagnosis and everything, I think when he was 2 years old. By the age of 3, we managed to get his diagnosis on paper. We managed to get his EHCP, which I was told by many other parents and the people in the education sector that this is an achievement because people don't get the diagnosis for years after you even find the word autism. So we were very pleased that this happened at the early stage. Obviously there was a lot of judgment, confusion, questions that we had to face, but then we were, as I said, very blessed to be part of this wonderful, loving community that we were getting the support of everybody. I was very fortunate because when I come to Mandir and if I need any help, I know that there are people around me who can have Shivi or who can just look after him or we can keep an eye on him or at least know that he doesn't have a sense of danger, so we'll make sure we shut the door when he is here. Everything like that, which makes my life very easy. However, if we focus on the positive sides. I call him my Albert Einstein because he can do, you can see the pictures there, and he is able to do spellings at the age of 3 and 4. He's able to do the most difficult puzzles you can give him. He's able to do matching numbers, matching items. He's able to do counting. He can use something called numicons, and he can actually put the numicons in the right order, 1 to 10, 11 to 20, that way. So he can do so many things that a 3-year-old child cannot do, and he started doing that. So obviously, we started writing all that on the EHCP, being proud parents. Like, okay, he's doing really well. So initially, when the whole thing started, his journey of autism, we were very confused. We didn't know where to start. Although we are very well connected in the community, we were still struggling. So Sanjay and I thought that if we are struggling, how about other parents who might be in a similar sort of boat, but they don't know where to start? So we started this community support group. It's called Autism Parent Support Group in United Kingdom. It's a Facebook group. It has 20,000 members now. It started in 2022. So if any of you want to join the group, you're more than welcome. If any of you want to advertise any of your programs or any of your meetups that you do, anything, feel free to do that, no problem at all. It is aimed at just helping each other, nothing more than that. So this group is for parents, for relatives, we have grandparents on it, we have teachers, we have therapists, we have students who are doing PhD and studying autism, studying ADHD, so we got everyone. As part of this group, we get regular phone calls, regular messages on our Facebook personally saying, I want to talk because I've had enough. I can't do this anymore. There are so many conversations where they are just thinking about ending their life because they don't know where to go anymore. They don't know how to handle this child anymore. They are not able to cope. It's not a difficult thing just for the child, it is a difficult thing for the parents and for the whole family. So we then arrange a video call with those people, arrange phone calls, whatever we can do, and we try and support and just try and give the hope. It's not the end of the world. Don't worry. It's a phase, it will pass, you will learn how to deal with it, you will learn how to overcome it, your child will also learn how to take things forward. And we thought that EHCP was our only struggle initially, because EHCP is the place where you start, and then I was told initially that once you get EHCP, everything will be sorted, you will get all the support, don't you worry. Doing the EHCP was the most overwhelming process I have found. Because me being a positive person in life, I always used to think, that's fine, if he can't do that, but he can do this. If he can't do that, but he can do this. So I started writing my EHCP, and then I realized that they are asking the same question again and again to make sure that I don't contradict myself, but also they want to find out what my child cannot do and what my child is struggling at. So I started then thinking in a different way, thinking, oh, but he can't do this, but he can't do that. Oh, as soon as he comes out of the car, he wants to run on a main street. He can be hit by a car tomorrow morning, so that's a risk. But the way I am looking at it, but I'm here to support him, I'm here to help him, but the way council is looking at it is different. So I need to think from that perspective. And that was the most difficult task for me, because I am now going in the negative mode. I am now talking about what my son is not able to do, what my son is struggling at, what he is not good at. And that hits really hard. Did you find that, Taiba?
Yeah, it is really hard.
It is hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
I found that process really difficult. But thank God that process finished. And then we thought, we got EHCP, so now we can just ask for the school. Whatever school we ask, the council has to get that school. That's not right, unfortunately. We asked for a special needs school. The council initially said, because you remember you said in the EHCP he can do the puzzles, he can do the numicons, he's very clever, he's fine. He doesn't need a special needs school. He can just cope in a mainstream school. So we are going to send him mainstream. So council declined special needs school, given him mainstream. Then the case comes to mainstream. Mainstream says, no, we can't handle your child because he's got all these problems. He can't interact, he can't focus, he is disruptive in the class, he is running around everywhere, he is non-verbal, he is not able to follow instructions. Sorry, we can't keep him. The maximum we can do is 2 hours a day. So council doesn't want to provide special needs school. School doesn't want to provide full-time education. Where do we go as parents? That's where we started the struggle for education. It's like, okay, our struggle hasn't finished yet. Let's now appeal against the council's decision that what you are saying is not right. And now we have to prove that you are wrong. That was another really hard process because writing an appeal application, sending it to the judge, that whole process was so overwhelming because obviously you are again talking negative about your child, but every time I'm sending the application, they are throwing it back on my face because they are saying, you made this wrong, you did that wrong, you did that wrong. So it took us 4 months to just get the application right, but we did it ourselves. We didn't hire a solicitor until that stage. Then we get finally an appeal lodged in the court that yes, we are going against the Hampshire County Council's decision. We are appealing against that decision. And then we hire a solicitor. We obviously start the process. I've already started taking my sabbatical leave because with 2 hours a day in the school, I can't work. So I had to put my wealth manager career on hold and be a full-time mom that time. And then the whole process of tribunal, that took about 2 years. It was tough, it was difficult, but he is now in a special needs school. He's been going in a special needs school for the last 1 month. So we were supposed to appear in the court in August this year. July, we get the council's decision that we are giving you a special needs school. The special needs school is not nearby. We live in Hedge End. The school is in Basingstoke. So it's an hour drive each way. So okay, how do we do that now? If I go Basingstoke every day from Hedge End, how do I work? How do I go back to my bank? It's like, okay, another fight. So we started the fight for the transportation. So now finally, he's been provided transportation, he's been provided a PA who goes with him. They take him every morning, they bring him back every afternoon. He's very happy in the school, he's in fact thriving in the school. You can see the medal that he won and a certificate. In the second week of him going into that school, he won the communicator of the week. So he is not able to speak, but he is able to pick his specs, which we talked about there, picture communication, and he's able to communicate via pictures what snack he wants, or what nursery rhyme he would like to listen to, or what is the next activity that he would like to do. And they are very, very proud of him, and we are very, very proud of him because we see him with the best smile ever when he comes back from the school. So we just wanted to explain to you all that Shivi has a different kind of communication. He's not able to speak words, but his eyes speak, his laughter speaks, his hugs are the best hugs you can have. His excitement will tell you that he is very, very happy. His way of expressing is different, but he can express himself. He knows when he is hurt, so he can come and show me his finger, that his finger is hurt, and I can give him a kissy on the finger and he'll be fine after that. So love doesn't need words. And there is no need to fix autism, because it's a spectrum. We all are autistic. It's just that our spectrum is so low that we don't have any symptoms. And Shivi's autism is probably at the middle somewhere, where his symptoms are very, very visible. But there might be other children whose symptoms are very high level, and every child is different. And he's not broken, he's just experiencing the world differently. Autism is not one story, it's a spectrum of strengths and challenges. And And in the society, we sometimes focus on what's really missing, what he can't do, what he doesn't know. But we need to really focus on what our children can do, what they are. They are very, very special. And I think they are the most honest and the loving children you can have. They have no bad feelings, nothing wrong. I don't know, I'm losing words now. The judgment hurts, but the awareness heals. So lesson learned for me on this one is patience, love, and the perspective of life has changed. I am a different person than I was before Shiri's diagnosis. I used to look at things in a different way. I now look at things in a very different way. I am very, very grateful for everything in life. And I feel that God has given me Shiri because maybe God knew that Sanjay and Sarika can look after him and maybe provide him the care he needs. Maybe fight for him where needed, and we'll continue to do that if needed in future. Right now we feel the fight is over, but you never know when it might arise again, but we are ready for it. It's absolutely fine. So connections doesn't look the same for everyone, and all I have learned is never give up. A message to everyone: when you see a struggling child or a struggling parent, don't judge, please. Just offer a smile, some patience, and some kindness. And your kindness and your compassion can take this long way, and it can make somebody's day. Thinking, why is he just eating chips? Why is he just eating nuggets? Sometimes I feel that if he's eating chips, at least he's eating something rather than staying hungry. There are days when he won't eat anything. There are days when he will look at the food and make the sound that he's going to vomit now. So I am grateful to God that at least he's eating. And yes, he's eating chips at the moment. Maybe he's eating uttapam sometimes. There might be days when he will start eating everything. I am waiting for that day, but then it will happen one day. Just need some patience with that. We all love Bollywood movies, so I thought, why not learn? Because we all want to probably understand more about autism if we don't know what autism is. These are the movies that you can look at if you are looking to learn more about autism. Burfi was one of them, where Priyanka Chopra was autistic. Tanvi, which is a new movie that has just come out. Sitare Zameen Par, which has children of all learning difficulties and neurodiversity. And My Name is Khan, when Shah Rukh Khan was in that movie autistic, and Lal Singh Chaddha, where Amir Khan was autistic. So some amazing movies are there. And lastly, I would just say, my son might be non-verbal, but his voice is powerful. He reminds us that every voice matters, whether spoken or not. And that's it. Thank you. Anyone has any questions for me? Great, thank you so much.
I would like to introduce Preeti Nayal, who you may have heard of on our local radio Unity 101. She is a special education needs coordinator at a school, ensuring children are provided the correct support to see them flourish. Preeti will be discussing how schools support children, explain what an EHCP is, and where families can get help in Hampshire.
I'm just loving the order of the presentation. Oh, lovely, thank you. So currently, my journey as a Senko started because everybody who was naughty, the word naughty comes a lot. I've worked in mainstream schools, special education needs schools, a pupil behavior unit where majority of the time the children get excluded basically, and they were coming on the doorstep because nobody was able to understand them in the mainstream school. And when I was in the mainstream school, I'm talking about our local schools. I worked with Hamble, I worked with Oasis Academy, Mayfield. And the journey happened because every time I was in the classroom, I'm a qualified teacher, I teach GCSE English, and every time the bottom set classroom was given to me. And then that bottom set was not the ability bottom set, it was special educational needs students who nobody was able to understand. And when they came to me to learn English, that is the point. I think the patience is the key. I was listening to Sarika and I was listening to our guest speakers. The main thing is you need to balance the emotions of the child who is in front of you in the classroom as a teacher. I'm a teacher first, then a Senko. So as a teacher, because it's almost like I can explain a doctor on the operation table, you are doing that hands-on experiment of teaching them the first alphabet or the sentence structure. So I am that kind of a doctor who is giving them that input in the classroom. And what I realized was that when I became a newly qualified teacher, I was given, these words were absolutely brand new to me, words like autism, ADHD. And what I learned was that prescription. Why I was given the bottom set was because I was using that prescription. If the child has ADHD, you need to give them a fidget toy. That was, for a newly qualified teacher, that was my prescription from the experts at that time. I'm talking 17 years ago. And if I would not have taken that prescription or training, teacher training properly, I would not become the bottom set queen. I was called the bottom set queen. That was purely because I was implying what I was being given in my teacher training years. And slowly and steadily, that made me think about why that child who is going to the other classes, I think Taiba said that, why did you learn art? Because you loved the teacher. And luckily, I became that teacher who the children were drawn to. I met Shilly once in Sanja restaurant and he never left me. Yeah. So I became kind of that magnetic bee who people, and then I realized that because I've developed to implement what I've been given, and that is what led me to then go and do this 18 months program of being a special educational needs coordinator. And once I became a Senko, I realized that there are three things. Number one, you have to do the journey with the parents. Parents, Sarika, I would say, is a good example and a lucky example. But there are parents I have worked who themselves have special educational needs, who have no idea when to write an EHCP. They have dyslexia themselves. And this journey of, my journey, I would say, is, I don't want to say what Senko stands for, but I'll still say it is, my journey is to coordinate. The word coordinator, it sums up what my journey is. And the one thing which I always say to the parents is, this is a long journey and I have to be that pillar who is joining them to Taiba. I am that kind of a person who is joining them to the GP. I am that person, when they come into the school, I am literally, metaphorically, holding their hand to say, 6 months to 3 years can go to 6 years. Me and Sarika have had many meetings as well, where I have just said. So as a Senko, I think I was speaking to another Senko, she's here as well, she's in Southampton Parent Forum now. So she herself has been a Senko in Toynbee School. But as a coordinator, our job is to give the parents the hope, head teacher, that the child is doing okay. Because remember, we are literally like a spider web. So I am literally that main person who is trying to get the external help for that child. I'm trying to get the help from the head teachers for them to be patient as well, because they are saying, oh my God, this child is not behaving. Oh my God, we have to exclude this child, Mrs. Nair. And if they get 3 times excluded, their name will be struck off from the school. So I have to be that person who has to then go to this, how do I say, it's easy to say that my role is to make sure that everybody has got that patience and resilience to bear, because that child is going to grow in their journey. Understanding SEN, I think I would just go with the example. It's a child with autism, they need clear routines. We've talked about these things. They need to have the clues. A child with speech delay might need support from a speech and language therapist. So in my current school, I have got speech and language therapist who works very closely with me. I've got OT who will come and they will assess the child. And then once they have given me the assessment, then it would become my job to make sure that the teachers are implementing that prescription given by the experts. So I am literally that person who is overviewing that whatever is written in the EHCP is getting implemented in the school. If, for example, I think I've mentioned all of this, this is what my school day looks like. So I will identify and assess children who may have additional needs. So the teachers would contact me and say, Mrs. Nair, we are worried about this child. Can you come and assess them? So this is mainstream school. I would then go and look for those symptoms. That would be my first port of call. See if we can do something which we call a graduated approach. Have you given them a fidget toy? Have you given them a toilet pass? Have you given them brain breaks? You know, have you done whatever we can do within the school time, within that 60 minutes of your lesson time, so that the child is feeling settled? If there is still, the child is not well, then I would then say, okay, we've done everything which is in our power, now we need to get to the next stage, okay? But what I don't do is, if there are 1,200 students, and I've got 600 referrals, it is not the case that 600 children will need that EHCP. So you have to be mindful, and my colleagues who are all, the SEN team, all of these people who are on the right-hand side, these are the people who are my backbone. These are the people I will go to then finally seek support. I would work with teachers to adapt lessons and create support plans for those children. Meet with the parents and outside professionals. Make sure the child's voice is heard in decision making. Help families apply for an EHCP. In last year, I must say, I have done 20 EHCP applications within 3 years, and all those 20 applications went through from Hampshire. So the school was very, very pleased because, again, like Sarika said, EHCP, writing the EHCP is also saying to the council that we need funding. The council also has got their constraints about funding. So we have to be mindful of that the child who needs it the most gets the help. So you have to be, once you've done that graduated approach, then only you can ask for the support from the council. So you have to be mindful for everybody around you. Think of me, like I said in my last line, as a link between families, school staff, professionals, and making sure every child gets the support they need to succeed. My main aim when I'm standing, no matter if it is a mainstream school or a pupil behavior unit or a special educational needs school, my main aim or my goal of my life is, if Taiba, your son or Sarika's son, or I'm seeing some students, when they leave education, they have a qualification. The aim is to make them independent. The aim is that they can go into this society and do some kind of work, or independent living is the key. So currently I'm working with primary school, and we are already I teach PSHE, I am currently a teacher myself, and I am teaching these children or exposing them to say, we have something called doctors, we have fire ambulance. So these children from very early year can understand that there is a word called career, and there are people who support us. So my aim is to make sure that the employment support team is here listening to me. But we start thinking about employment. We have introduced a topic called life skills in primary years, so they can understand what life skills are and what employment is. So again, all of these channels till the end, the whole idea is they get employed, and that is what we are aiming to do in the schools. EHCP is again a very important piece of document. It runs from 0 to 25 years old, when a child is from 0 to 25 years old. It is a legal document. Section F is the legal side of the document. As a SENCO, we have something, I don't know whether the parents know, SEN Code of Practice. So every SENCO in your school should have the knowledge of SEN Code of Practice. Every SENCO should know the changes which the government releases each year. But generally, I always say, our bread and butter is the EHCP. If the section F, which obviously I am writing the application, I'm submitting it to the council. If the child gets the EHCP, we get 2 weeks of window to speak with the parents again, see if we need to make any changes. If the parents are happy within that 2 weeks of window, the EHCP is a live document. Especially when you're in primary years, the document keeps changing. It is not one piece of document which will be, it's not like a script which has been printed. It is a live document which keeps changing annually, like Dr. said earlier. So we make sure that it is a live document. Getting help, obviously in Hampshire we've got Sandias, GPs I signpost to, we've got parental forms I signpost to, but the most important thing I would say to the parents is, please, if you think there are signs and there is no development which is happening, speak to the SENCO of your school. Sometimes they are super busy, because I do get that. Mrs. Nair, I emailed you 2 months ago, you haven't responded to me, and they will come to me, because there are times when you have to be equally considering that there are constraints. It doesn't mean that SENCO is not doing the job, it just is they are prioritizing who is on what side. But again, once you get that EHCP, it is important in the annual reviews. Sometimes the parents would say, but I've been to the annual review and that's it. But I would advise to the parents, go to the school coffee mornings. That is the time when you can speak to the SENCO. Try and take time out once a term. I always say, even if it is a 5 minutes Teams video, 5 minutes Teams video phone call can do wonders. So I have a slot on my school website as a SENCO where any parent can book a slot with me for 5 to 7 minutes. And those 5 to 7 minutes, we can touch base rather than the parent, wondering, oh, my child has got panic attacks, what do I do? They will come to me in annual review with a big list. And I would then say, why did you suffer for the whole year? So if you want to seek support, speak to the SENCO, and I always say to the parents, I literally sometimes metaphorically hold their hands, please do soft emails. If you are emotional, we understand, but if you go really negative approach, sometimes that becomes a blocker itself. So if you go with a positive support to your GP, or if you go positive supports towards your SENCO, everybody will help you. But if you become that parent who is, and I'm sure the council is sitting here, they would have the same experience where you would have one mother who is emailing 100 times, but there is one who is just not emailing at all. So it is all about how parents' approach is as well. So just be careful in that sort of thing as well. But if you are, if you need any help, if you're on that line where the child, it's on the borderline, you're not sure. I met a parent today, their son is 21 years old, and they said he had the diagnosis, but the SENCO of the school said, oh, they'll be fine, and he got bullied. So please do not still sit in silence. Even with the parents who do not have the HCP, we hold separate meetings for them as well. So if your child does not have any HCP, and you go into the parents' evening, you still have as a parent full right to ask for the support, because they're on the SEND register. So if they are on the SEND register, they've got the diagnosis but no EHCP, does not mean that they cannot get the support. Again, the bottom line is every child matters. It's not just about one thing. And rest, I think all my colleagues have covered very, very, amicably. I was so pleased when you were talking about, the 4 sides of EHCP as well. But yeah, that is my role, and I've been doing it for 17 years. And thanks to Sarika for giving me the platform. I always thought when I met Sarika that, she was like, Priti, but why did you speak about these things? You've been doing it for so many parents. But yeah, I think it's time, which is, and all my experience now, which has made me think, yes, I can also then help the community and help the council, help everybody wherever I can. But thank you.
Thank you for all your support when we were going through the tribunal as well, because just sitting down with somebody who knows what they're doing and just going through the documents sometimes just opens up your eyes as well. Thank you.
Now I would like to introduce Cheryl Claxton.
Richard Walker,
Yeah.
Richard Walker from Autism Hampshire. Richard is head of community services.
Cheryl sadly couldn't make it today.
Maybe Richard can give his own introduction.
Yeah, I will.
Sorry, we should have updated you, Shania. Cheryl will make it.
Hi there, yes, I'm not Cheryl Claxton. Cheryl is sadly unable to make it today. She's got a poorly little boy, and I wasn't aware of this until earlier, so I have had a brief look at Cheryl's slides, but I will be able to talk about our services at Autism Hampshire. My name's Richard. I'm a Serendipity Group Coordinator at Autism Hampshire, and I run our community groups, of which I run 3 in Southampton. We have 1 drama group that we run an art group in Southampton, and we run a small community group, social group in Shirley. But we are looking to, or we do have capacity and resources to open a new group in Southampton soon, which would be really awesome because we've got larger groups elsewhere across Hampshire, and we run groups in Winchester, Havant, Borden, New Forest, so I get to drive all around the county and run sort of 2-hour groups. Our groups typically support autistic adults, 18 plus, who come to our groups to meet other autistic adults and gain confidence, and peer support is the most important thing that we offer. I'm going to start going through our slides and explain the services that we do run with Autism Hampshire, and I'll try and add to what Cheryl's already prepared for me. So yeah, we were actually formed in Southampton, which I only learned last week, but and we have been going since the 60s. And as a group coordinator, I'm mainly, I suppose, offering non-judgmental spaces for autistic adults to meet and socialise and gain confidence and sort of develop skills and be able to form friendships is the most important thing. So I think we've already described what autism is today, so I will skip that one. Yeah, so we do offer support in the community. Our groups tend to run every sort of 2 weeks, 2 hours at a time. Our groups tend to have a similar structure. Members dictate what happens at those groups. So we play a lot of Uno and Skyjo games, are very popular at groups. We do a lot of drawing and colouring. We do a lot of chatting. We watch presentations such as TED Talks. So whatever our facilities allow, we often have kitchen facilities available, like teas and coffees. And they become very social spaces, often quite noisy, even in small groups. So they're no less social than any other types of social groups. We have an information, advice and guidance team also that support families with autistic adults and autistic children or autistic individuals. And we work alongside our information, advice and guidance team. It's a free service, as well as our community groups that members can access. We also have a training and consultancy team that will train individuals who want to understand more about autism, as well as organisations that want to put or have to put more things in place to help autistic adults in the employment sector. So that's a bit more about our information and advice and guidance team. You can call them for free, or you can email our team for free. They're very helpful. You can have regular appointments, or you can have one-off appointments, or just phone up whenever you need support. Our alert program is a card that is very useful to many autistic adults or any autistic individual who is able to carry a card that we can issue that will allow them to identify themselves as needing support to emergency services and the police, for example. And you can also have one displayed in your car. If you're in a car accident, then it would notify emergency services who have trained professionals to understand your extra needs. Some of our client feedback. Sorry, I haven't read all the slides, sorry, I'm kind of bad.
It's amazing.
It's okay.
Oh, that's okay, yeah. Oh, thank you, yeah. I hope the feedback's good. I don't know. Yeah. So yeah, I'm most sort of qualified to talk about serendipity groups. I've been with Autism Hampshire over a year myself. I have 2 children who are both autistic, which is the connection that I had in wanting to find out more about understanding autism. I'm only a part-time coordinator, I'm also a graphic designer, but the groups have really changed my perception completely, and yeah, it's been an amazing journey. I've coordinated over 200 groups in just over a year, online and in person, and been all over the counties and met some incredible individuals, and yeah, formed some incredible connections, engaged with people and seen people grow in confidence, so it's been an incredible journey. Those are a list of some of the groups we're currently running. I mean, they're all amazing, they're all very different, but they're all ultimately with the same goal of creating non-judgmental spaces where people can come and socialise and feel less isolated. We do have a process on our website of filling in forms, which can be daunting to some. I do take telephone calls sometimes when I'm not at groups about helping members or members wanting to sign up, and I'll help them through the process if necessary over the phone. But we do have a system on the website. We try and make it as simple as possible to follow, so that you can sign up for the group you wish to attend. We do have a bit of a waiting list for some groups, but it can be frustrating because we do have members that aren't always able to make it, so we would like to encourage more to groups, so we're trying to reduce the registration process and get people coming on to groups and being able to attend as soon as possible. Workshops. We have had the capacity this year to run quite a few workshops. I'm running a diabetes workshop soon in our Portsmouth group, in a room we have there. We've run some fitness and nutrition workshops recently. We've gone from a team of 2, myself and Cheryl, who's not here today, at the start of the year, to in April we're back up to a team of 5. We got awarded lottery funding back in April that it was an arduous process of getting the funding or proving how we'd used the money previously and how we're going to use money in future if we were lucky enough to get the funding we asked for. And we did get the funding, so we are able to offer more than we did previously, which is amazing, and we've got a bigger team and more opportunity to put on events. So if anyone's got a workshop they would like to bring to us, that would be amazing. We'll do our best to put that on at one of our venues, and we can discuss that. So we're always open to suggestions, and there's been some amazing talks today. Events like this are fantastic, and we made to feel incredibly welcome, and Nikita and the team have done a great job, and showing understanding and promoting so much positivity. I think that's one thing that's come out of today, so that's been amazing. A few statistics, which I know some of them off the top of my head. So I think feeling less isolated and confident is the one thing that comes out of the groups that I notice. There's many that, even when they turn up for the first time, are often, even if they're not non-verbal, they might suddenly not want to engage, and members can come along with support if they want, partners or parents, or anyone that they consider will help them through the process of coming along for the first time, because that can be very daunting. Obviously it's a big change to come to a group or a building you've never been to before and navigate your way through. We do send directions and make it as visual as possible and try and create a social story of a PDF to help through the process, but we understand it's still, before you can become social in a group, there is that barrier to overcome, and we're still working on making that as easy as possible. More member feedback. And I think, mentioning safe spaces is another thing. I don't think there's anything really such as a safe space completely, but I think making safer spaces is what we're all about for autistic adults, and trying to promote those safer spaces. And that's myself at a group in Tottenham, actually, meeting an incredible guy called Gary, who's featured on our website, and you might want to read his story. He helped us out during Autism Acceptance Week this year, by telling his story, and he's actually seen the Rolling Stones 130 times. That's his kind of passion, and he's very passionate about music. And when I talked to Gary, I had incredible in-depth conversations about music. I'm a music fan myself, so it's very fascinating to talk to members and get case studies from members, because they're the ones that kind of can sort of explain about our groups better than anyone. So. And this is actually a video by Gary. It might be better because of the time to watch it on YouTube, because I think it is a bit of a long player possibly, or a few. I'm not sure how much time we've got, Nikita.
I can share it. Share.
Yeah, it might be worth doing. It's a video, but this is one of the quotes that Gary uses to explain his autism, and he's got a very strict kind of. It's worth seeing the video, because he's very strict about his routine, but a fascinating insight, and he's got incredible humour as well, so it's fascinating to read about Gary. And volunteers, I do rely on volunteers, certainly at the larger groups that I run, and we do have some amazing volunteers, but we always need more, so I do have information about how to volunteer, and there's information on our website about how to become a volunteer. Often volunteers have lived experience and offer their support very kindly, sort of once or twice a month, and we do offer lots of training for those volunteers and try and support them in any way possible. And some of our volunteers, we've got a member of our admin team now who started off as a group member, found out that we needed a bit of admin support during the winter, and offered their admin support to us, but is now position became available at our team and is now a fully paid member of staff in the Serendipity team, and has just won a newcomer of the year at our award ceremony, so that was awesome. We do have a training team as well, which I mentioned earlier. And training courses also, if anyone wants to expand their knowledge, they can contact our team. Our head office is based in Whiteley. We run some of our courses from there, but we do run online courses too. Yeah, sort of workplace assessments, and we will offer consultancy, and we do have a fantastic training team who can provide more information. I have got flyers about our training opportunities too. And that's some of the feedback from our training. And we do provide supported people services. I don't have as much information myself on that. It's another part of the organisation, but we do offer supported living, and as a wider organisation, so there's more information on our website about that. There we go. Thank you for listening to myself and not Cheryl. But, yeah. If there's any questions, any questions at all? But no, thank you for being so welcoming today, and many thanks. A great event.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much. So the next group I would like to invite are a couple of lovely ladies that I work with quite regularly. They're the health facilitators and form part of the Community Learning Disability team for Hampshire and Isle of Wight Healthcare NHS Foundation Trust. By background, they are learning disability nurses, and their role is to reduce health inequalities by advising and supporting people with a learning disability, carers and health services on how to give better care to people with a learning disability. Please welcome the ladies.
Hi, thank you for staying to listen to us. We're last but not least, I will say. I'm Louise and this is Alison. As Nikita said, we are learning disability nurses, but our roles are health facilitators. So we work in the community for the learning disability team, and we promote good health for people with learning disabilities. So this is our humongous team for the whole of Hampshire. So you've got Marta and Alison, which is North, Mid and West Hants. They cover that area. And myself and Amy George, we cover East and Southampton. So we would cover your area, myself and Amy. So we want to sort of make you aware of what the difference is between a learning disability and an intellectual disability. So because they can be mixed up sometimes, so we think it's really important to get that across to people. It is a short video, but we think it says it all really. Hopefully we can play it. Sorry, we're not going to show it because I don't think it's working. Oh, there we go.
is the connection for the volume, for the sound. So that would be a separate connection.
Yeah, that's okay, we'll share it. Nikita will share it with everybody.
I'll put the links on our WhatsApp groups.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's the video is the main cat video. It's a really good video, and basically people with a learning disability are telling their story. What is a learning disability? What isn't a learning disability? Kind of trying to get rid of any myths that are out there. So if you can, click on the link for the YouTube video. It's only a short video, it's about 4 or 5 minutes long. People have got some wonderful stories of what they've achieved, so please do take a minute to look at that. We thought it was important to differentiate between what a mental illness is and a learning disability. So when we look at what a mental illness is, this is a health condition that affects people's moods, thoughts, and their behaviour.
And comparing that to somebody who has a learning disability, this is a developmental condition which affects their abilities to learn new skills. It's a lifelong condition and can present from childhood. Examples of these include Down syndrome, Fragile X, frontal alcohol spectrum disorder.
And then when we compare that to a mental illness can happen at any age to anybody. We're all susceptible to having episodes of poor mental health. Poor mental illness can go up and down in waves. Says that they may be temporary, so you may have a short spell of it. It may be recurrent, where you get repeat kind of episodes of poor mental health. And it may be chronic, so some people do experience poor mental health for a long part of their life. But people do get better from poor mental health. But like we said, a learning disability is something that somebody has throughout of their life. It's not cyclical, it's not temporary, it's not recurrent, it is there all the time. With a learning disability, we can put things in place to support people with a learning disability, but with mental health, they can access things like talking therapies, counselling, there's medication that can support somebody's mental health, or just lifestyle changes, getting out and exercising, as an example, improves mental health. And then examples include depression, anxiety disorders, and schizophrenia. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk today about autism, so I think we're the only learning disability team here. Of course, we said hello. So it's really important for us to differentiate what a learning disability is not. Autism is not a learning disability in itself. It is a lifelong developmental condition that affects how somebody communicates, relates to others. Autism and a learning disability can go side by side. If you've got a learning disability, you are more likely to have autism, and the other way around. If you have autism, you're more likely to have a learning disability, but the two things are not the same. And then when we look at the list on the left, cerebral palsy, strokes, mental illness, brain tumours, etc., those in themselves are not a learning disability. Where it gets a little bit complicated, if, for example, a stroke, for example, if a baby has a stroke, for example, premature babies are very prone to kind of cerebral bleeds. If any one of those things on the left has happened before the age of 18, then that person has a learning disability because the brain is developing during that time. If one of those things happens after the age of 18, the brain has already developed, it has already learnt those skills you need to live and function in life, how to wash, how to dress, etc. So all of those things, one of those things would have had to have happened before that person turns 18. And then when we look at the things on the right, which have been talked about quite a lot here already, dyslexia, dyspraxia, dyscalculia, ADHD or ADD, and auditory processing disorder, these are considered learning difficulties, not a learning disability. So these are barriers to someone's learning. So we can try and put things in place to support somebody with dyslexia, dyscalculia, if they're struggling with numbers. You look at Richard Branson, he's renowned for having dyslexia, and he's a billionaire having, set up Virgin, but he's put his own controls and own mechanisms in place to overcome that barrier. So all of those ones on the right, a learning difficulty is a barrier to someone learning these skills. A learning disability is that lifelong condition where they just find it challenging, if not impossible, to learn those skills.
So, as you can see, we've listed some health conditions here, and we just want to highlight that these problems are no different for people with a learning disability as they are to those that in the general population. So we want to raise that. And most of these things, not all of those things, should be asked when people have an annual health check. So people with a learning disability should be having an annual health check yearly, and that should be from the age of 14 upwards. So if they're not, then you need to be going to the GP and asking for one. Now let lovely into that slide, look.
And they are, I don't know when it's going to be, but they are going to bring in an autism annual health check. It is getting delayed, so at the moment, like we said, it is just a learning disability annual health check from the age of 14. You need to be on the learning disability register with your GP to get invited for one. If you're the person you support is over the age of 14 and has a learning disability, you can be asking the GP to go on their learning disability register to make sure they're getting those annual health checks. And they're proactive, they're there to identify issues before problems happen. So they'll look at things like their bowel movements, whether they're constipated, what they're eating, drinking, exercise. We have got some leaflets, like a long list of what should be asked during an annual health check. And hopefully soon that same thing will be rolled out for people with autism, but we're not there yet, but just keep your eye on that.
For those of you that did come on to our table earlier, we had a sensory box. It was very popular with the children this morning. So these sensory boxes have been developed, and they are on every ward in the hospitals, and they are at every GP surgery.
Yeah, I actually got one for my son last time when I visited.
They are not normally out on show, so you just ask. Or we have got some cards that we can leave with Nikita. If people don't feel comfortable to ask, they can just show the card. So they are very useful. And please make sure everything goes back, because we won't get anything replaced, which is, normal. We need to look after these ones. So yeah, they're very important. But also in there is communication cards, and there are picture books of parts of the body that you can use with the GP if necessary.
We also wanted to kind of show the different kinds of support out there. So like we said, we're the Community Learning Disability team. We work for Hampshire and the Isle of Wight NHS, I'm not going to say all of that, but the NHS Trust. We've just amalgamated between different trusts. And our focus as an LD team is health and clinical need of people with a learning disability. So we do health assessments, we provide interventions on physical health, epilepsy, dysphagia, which is difficulty swallowing, and we have specialist therapies such as speech and language therapists who support communication. So we focus on health. The next slide will go into who is in our team. But the main thing is that if you do end up putting a referral into our team, we do focus on health. On the other side of the kind of support network of social services, so here you'll probably be under Southampton City Council, and you've also got Hampshire County Council, so you've all got your local authorities and councils. The councils will support you with your social needs. So for example, if you care for somebody and they need however many hours of support a week to support them with their activities of daily living, of going out, of attending day service, whatever it is, and for example you need a review of the amount of hours that person's going to get, it will be social services that will provide any kind of support around support. So we are health, we focus on health and clinical stuff, and social services are more your social side of things, so how that person can function in their daily life and what support they need. So like I said, we're health professionals and social services are provided by social workers and care managers.
So in our teams, we have quite a large team in each area. So these are some of the people that are in our teams. We've probably got more than that as well, haven't we, Alison? Some teams. So yeah, we cover every area, like Alison said on the last slide. We do art therapy as well. I don't think Alison mentioned that. Speech and language, admin. We couldn't do our jobs without admin. We need to take our hats off to admin because they are really good at their jobs. Right, this is our referral process for our team. I will run through it very quickly because it can be very long and I'm aware that we're running over time. So if you have a person who is 18 years old or older with an learning disability, they are eligible to get some help from our team. We've put on the back of at the end of our presentation, our email address and where you can find all this information. You just fill out the form. Anybody can make a referral. It doesn't need to be a GP, it could be a parent, it could be an auntie, it could be the person themselves. There are easy read forms on there so those people can make a referral for themselves. And then when you come through to referral, it will be triage and you will have a phone call with somebody from our team. It's called our SPOA team and we all have to have a turn of that every 12 weeks, so we get to go there as well. And we will do a clinical assessment with that person over the telephone. And from there, that will then go to our MDT, which happens every Thursday morning. And then it will be discussed to see if there's any help we can give you, which team you will go to, whether you need speech and language, whether you need a nurse, whether you need physiotherapy, or whether you can use the general services like iTalk, you need to go to your GP, those sorts of things. And which is, we will signpost you and give you those options. So that's our referral process.
So we've got these forms with us if anybody wants to get one, and they're a signposting sheet. So the GPs all have them. I'm not sure if they're on their website, but you can always email our team and we're more than happy to send them out. It's just they get updated so regularly, it's quite hard to stay up to date. But on these signposting sheets, which is for Southampton and Hampshire, so we don't cover the Isle of Wight, and I know I was chatting to a lady earlier who was from Bournemouth, but there are different signposting services out there. So these are the kind of signposting organisations that we found. Social care and housing, they are kind of councils, advocacy groups, weight loss groups. Lots of people with a learning disability are overweight and there are very limited resources out there, so again we can signpost you to those kind of things. There's a long list of different areas where we have got good signposting and good resources out there. If for example you use a service that isn't on there that you can really recommend, then please again just email us, because we, like I said, we are always updating the sheet. And yeah, just try and keep it up to date as we can. And I think that is it. That's our website. We've got loads of brilliant resources on there. If you click on our website and then in the search portal at the top type in learning disability, and then it'll come up with boxes. We've got a really fab section on easy reads, so they can support absolutely anybody. You don't need to have a learning disability to actually access them. But on there you've got things like supporting somebody with the menopause, supporting someone with diet and eating, epilepsy, loads and loads of health resources on there. The referral link is on there, explanation of our team. Yeah, have a good explore of our website and yeah, see what you find. So has anybody got questions? So that's in a nutshell really. Yes?
Are all NHS staff providing training on learning disabilities or autism?
They should be. So every NHS staff should have done a Oliver McGowan training. It is rolling out, so obviously you've got the face-to-face part 2, which there's not enough members of staff to deliver it for the number of people that need it. But yeah, everyone should have done the Oliver McGowan training, which generally focuses on autism, but actually it really does discuss the needs of somebody, what reasonable adjustments they need, and actually listening to people. That's the most important message from Oliver McGowan. You know, carers, the person themselves, know themselves the best. I don't know if everyone can access it. I don't know. It's a pretty piece of training.
And I would just like to add that our team, we do training online for carers, so if there is anybody out there, please have a look on our website. And we also give training to GPs and GP practices, so on different subjects. It's not just about learning disabilities, it's about dealing with somebody with constipation who has a learning disability. There's lots of different things, dementia. So always have a look to see if any of those interest you, and just ping us an email and we can add you to it. Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Sorry, I am mindful we're running behind, but we only have a couple more speakers left, if everyone could bear with us. So the next duo I will introduce work closely together. Dr. Robert is a passionate advocate for inclusive education and independent living. Drawing from her experience in neurodiversity and work with the learning disability community, she brings a unique blend of empathy, creativity and practicality to teaching cookery and life skills. Her approach emphasises dignity, autonomy, and she has joy in empowering individuals to navigate daily life with confidence. And then along with Vibula, I will be inviting Alex, the CEO of NHS Neurodiversity Talks. And Alex is a dedicated local leader committed to championing the rights and opportunities of people with learning disabilities in our community. MENCAP is a locally registered charity affiliated with the National Royal MENCAP Society, and the organisation works to support people with learning disabilities and their families, helping them to lead fulfilling lives with independence, inclusion and dignity through tailored programmes, social activities, advocacy and support services. MENCAP plays a vital role in creating more accessible and passionate cities for everyone. So please welcome Vibula and Alex.
Thank you for introducing us both. We will keep it very short, as we know you are all wanting to go home.
So as Nikki said, I'm Alex. I've worked for MENCAP for many, many years, seen a lot of changes over those years for people learning disabilities. Can you hear me? Yes. And we've heard a lot about children today. One of the things I like to say is that children do become adults. They're not quite as cute. They don't attract as much funding. There aren't the processes around that there are for children. However difficult those processes are for children, and we all know they are. Everybody is working at the moment under very difficult circumstances. You know, there's not enough money to deliver what's needed. As a voluntary organisation, as I'm sure some of the others who've spoken today, we cannot keep putting our prices up. We're working with marginalised groups that don't have, you know, the income, and that would exclude them from accessing the services they need. We're not a coffee shop. We can't just stick our prices up on the price of a cup of coffee. So we do understand the issues that statutory services are under, and we try to work as far as we can with them, taking that neutral point of view that we can explain to families why perhaps they're not getting as much respite as they need, they're not getting as many days of support, perhaps at a day service that they need. I am also a parent, and I care for my daughter, so I see myself as her mum. And along with my husband and my other 2 children, we have supported Fiona over the years. She's now in her mid-40s. She still lives at home with us, so I get where everybody is coming from, how difficult life can be. And one of the things we use as a bit of a mantra at MenCap is that caring for someone with a learning disability or a condition that's been diagnosed from birth is actually a lifelong commitment from the day they're born until the day one of you die. That is the commitment that families show. We also say at MenCap that we've tried to remain small, local and strong. We are affiliated to National MenCap, but we don't get any funding from them. We share the same values. You know, we have the same campaigns very often, and we have tried to hang on to our campaigning arm throughout the years. We've supported families with things like charging policies, with closures of respite services, health issues, as we've heard. You know, those are things that sometimes don't work as well as they could be working. And so we make sure that parents and carers have that opportunity to voice their views as well. So moving on to our services, first of all, we're located in Portswood. I don't know how many of you know where we are, but we're tucked at the back of the high street, accessed via a lane which has been a bone of contention over the years because it's an unadopted lane, and the council haven't been able to support us because in their view they would then have to support all the hundreds of other unadopted lanes in the city. We've argued endlessly, but you know, it hasn't worked. However, we still get people accessing our services. We have a fairly big community centre there, and we run a range of services. So as well as the campaigning, offering advice, information, we're not experts, but what we will do is listen to parents, listen to families, listen to people with learning disabilities. And what I once heard described as that fluffy bunny stuff which cannot be measured in contracts is actually what we do really well. We build relationships over the years. We offer people the opportunity to go from being small children to adults through our social clubs where they can maintain those links with each other. And then probably in the last decade, we've developed a whole program of day services. Our day services are, I would say, changing in nature. And the threshold for eligibility is becoming higher and higher. So we see people who have complex needs, fairly complex needs, that, you know, we know that they need the support to be able to access work. Some of them would not be able to work without the right support. Employers don't want to pay £13 nearly an hour for someone who needs a lot of support. So what we do is we offer them work-life opportunities through our day services. I was lucky enough to be introduced to Poola around the same time, who came on board as one of our home kitchen, cookery, bakery experts, and she is an expert. And so I'm just going to let her speak a little bit more about what our groups actually achieve. And yes, if anybody wants information about MenCap in Southampton, please go on our website. You can see the contact details. We work really closely with other organisations. We've had Nikita coming in, doing stuff around health, the ambulance, paramedics. So those things are really important as part of that programme. So we're going to make it really short and snappy after we do that.
Thank you, Alex. In my introduction, as it was said, I teach cookery all through Southampton citywide to different communities, but what gives me the most satisfaction is working with people with learning disabilities. At MenCap, we always have Alex's mantra that when someone is helpless, help less. So through cooking activities, through baking activities, on a Wednesday we've set up an enterprise program by which we bake products, we make breads, cakes, which are sold within the community. And we have a lot of support. A local restaurant, Coriander, orders from us twice a week. So for our students, it's not just learning life skills, but it also builds their confidence, their self-esteem, that they are able to do something. Like we know that food is a common ingredient in everything. So I'm lucky enough that I teach cookery, but it's a very soft platform for building all these life skills. So as I said, we'll keep it very short. On Friday, we have a program where we cook foods from all around the world. So our students get to experience culinary skills, making foods from different cultures. It's not just simple toast and tea. No, they don't get it. They make planned programs, planned meals every week. And they really take ownership of what they create. Like when Fiona would go home, she would very, very proudly share a meal with the family or the cake that she has baked. And that is, it is all about that. They are people with different skills, right? So we always give them encouragement. We break down tasks. It's very small steps, and every small achievement is celebrated. It's a triumph, you know. And like we all heard, all of you as a parent speak about it. The experts talk about the different range of disabilities. We see that through all our students. They have a range of different needs. They have a range of different skills. We stretch the potential. I, for one, as Alex would knows very well, I take no nonsense. We create boundaries. They respect and respond to that boundaries, and we stretch the potential. And in the last decade or so, we have seen the journey of so many of them. Those who were afraid to come anywhere near the kitchen are now stirring the pot and they're preparing the meals. So their achievement is what we celebrate the most. So please pop in. If you have a birthday and if you need a celebration cake, please go through our website, order cakes. We make the best breads. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And last but not least, we have Amy, who is the Chair of Directors for the Parent Carer Forum Supporting Families. They run workshops, events and coffee mornings, work with local authorities in education settings and health providers, and meet the needs of SEND children and families. So welcome, Amy.
Hi, I'll be super quick. We run all sorts of different families across the city, different same get-togethers, so you can come along and know that you're not suffering social isolation, kind of let parents share their experience through peer support. Workshops on things like anxiety or sleep difficulties, so your young person doesn't need to have a diagnosis to be able to access the support available. The final thing we do for families is all sorts of different family events. So in half term we've got swimming, high score arcades and a sensory room booked, and families can attend those if they book in advance, only because we need to cap the numbers, but there is no cost to attend events. We've also got the Send Fun Day coming up in March. Alongside that, we also work with the local authority to try and improve things for families. So we want to hear those family voices to then be able to impact services and work with services to make it a little bit easier for those families. So that's all we do. Amazing.
Thank you, and that concludes our event today. Thank you once again to everybody that supported this event, all the organisations and stallholders and guest speakers, and our esteemed guests, you guys that have been here watching online or in the hall with us today. So thank you very much everyone for being here.